Hello everyone, welcome to our second session of our video course that we're filming, and a very special group of people get a chance to see it first. And please let us know if you're here with us in YouTube. Say hello. And also please mention if you watched our previous YouTube broadcast that we were live streaming, so that we're in common ground. If you're here for the first time, you don't know the context, then also let us know.
We'll do our best to make it understandable.
So there are a few seconds of wait in the chat, YouTube, so we'll wait for a couple of seconds for your reaction and then continue. Okay, hello, Sylvia, yes? Thank you so much. We have some feedback. It's much nicer to record a course when we have live feedback, and if anything at any point sounds very unclear and like it would be good to specify, so please let us know and be like, okay, we're stopping and we're clarifying the information. Okay. So at our previous lessons, we've discussed the topic of levels of reality, how world is perceived differently when we looked at it from micro-perception or micro-perception, from very primitive and material kind of perception, or the further we awaken and connect with the divine energy that fills all the forms, how the world begins to look differently and how the laws are changing too. We also discussed the topic of matrix, of that we are living in the world of forms, that is basically is like a simulator or correction mechanism, education mechanism, that is teaching our spirit to ignite this aspiration and choose to constantly live a like soul rather than a like ego. That's the kind of context we created at our previous lessons. And also we spoke about evolution, conscious evolution, its speed, how can we speed it up, and how it's affecting our happiness in general. And today at this lesson, we'd like to uncover few very fundamental laws of new era, of new time that we are as humanity entering right now, and that are especially applicable for the mature spirits nowadays. And the first one is, you're going to see the slide on the screen right now, is connection. Which kind of connection are we talking about? So, следующий слайд. You probably heard from different masters and teachings and modern practices that you need to establish good connection with your body. But what does it actually mean? Does it mean like I have to plug into my body something and be connected with it? Actually, it's quite common sense. When we constantly perceive the world through the head and we just think all the time, we may not notice what happens with our physical body. We may not notice that we actually got tired already and don't go to sleep on time, which will lead into some issues with energy level. We may not have the contact with our body in the moment when we are socializing with a group of friends behind the table and eat more than we need. Or we can also not notice that our body actually reacting somehow protective towards the human next to us and let in our space the person that is actually not good for us. Yeah, or like not draw line of our comfort zone also in interaction with other people. And this all happens when we don't feel our body, when we don't feel how our body is living this moment. And that's just one aspect. And of course, when we begin to actively train our attention to be immersed back into sensations, be attentive to what body speaks, the quality of life raises up in many, many times. But besides the contact with the body, there is also contact with the space. And this means that when I have person next to me in the room, let's say, and I live in my head all the time, I come to this moment with my past experience. And I don't look at this person and I don't feel this person in the moment. What state that person is in? What is this? What kind of energy is this person bringing me in the now? I come and put a label, a sticker of what I believe about that person. So in such situations, we, for example, may be manager at work and we have certain tasks to delegate to our co-workers, colleagues, to employees. And I may come with the idea of that this girl is working really well. She can do a lot. And because I don't really pay attention to the space and people in the space, I don't notice that actually today it's quite bad weather, that I don't notice that she actually somehow got here in a dirty clothes. I don't notice that she's sad somehow, and that actually she's this time doesn't have the resource of energy for the task that I want to delegate. And therefore I would just act from my idea about the person rather than feeling. And therefore this whole will result into unfavorable choice of mine, and which will be not so efficient, and that will affect the work. Exactly many decisions we do every single moment, we face daily in different spheres of life, can be taken much wiser and much more efficient when we feel our body and we feel the space at deeper level. And this actually can be developed practically. On the other side, we can also look into nervous system, because when we live in modern world, there is fight for our attention with the load of information all the time. We also tend to spend most of our hours in the phone. Our peripheral vision doesn't develop anymore. And also, besides that, we accumulate lots and lots of tension in the body without noticing it. And nervous system begins to not see either outer world and not see inner world, which is our physical body. And at some point we don't notice that we actually have already a back injury, our neck is hurting, only recognizing it when we're going to sleep and feeling that, oh my god, this is so discomfortable. Yeah? So this sitting lifestyle also provokes this situation. And what it results into, that everything that is not visible for our nervous system is a potential risk. So nervous system is playing a role of like a risk management, risk management system in our body. And it carries one gray area, another blind spot in our body, another potential hazard from the outside, another potential hazard from the political, economical situation that comes. And therefore, it comes to the edge of the limit of its capability to keep the gray area and expect something bad happening there. And that's when it gets overloaded and begin to break down. And this results into anxiety, into panic attacks, into fears, and sleep issues. So this is pretty much modern day situation. And one skill that is very necessary to develop here is ability to consciously educate our nervous system about our body and about the space around. And this is more from a neurophysiological point of view. But besides all these things, and kind of physiological and day-to-day interaction point of view, there is a deeper view, at a higher level of reality, which we spoke about, yes, in previous lesson. And this is that our body and connection with the space is actually two different doors into something deeper. And that deeper is basically this unified field of energy. It's God, which is within each of our cell. It's the energy, a life energy, that feels everything here. But unless our attention is sharp enough and there is interest to explore it, it will never reveal to us. And this is a muscle that builds up very well, properly, with the training. And that's what we do at the course. You already tried the practice, slightly touched upon this kind of inner work. We're going to do more of this kind of work in the further lesson. But if you want to take more advanced steps into it, at our courses, such as Flow, or at our live retreats, we particularly create perfect conditions where nothing distracts you from that inner work, where you can totally focus on building that muscle of attention and accumulating it at the right places. And then you can get very, very fast progress that you can never achieve by yourself, without those conditions created especially for you. Yeah, and from this point we are moving to our second law, which is applicable to nowadays, and you'll see the slide appearing now.
Yeah, before I'll touch a little bit about superposition in its all depth, I'd like to reiterate a little bit about something Anna mentioned: micro-consciousness and macro-consciousness. Essentially, these ideas come here to explain to us a little bit the point of view of a person. How are we experiencing reality? Pretty much that. In micro-consciousness, essentially I'm identified very deeply and very, very ingrainedly with myself as a persona, the Alex. The one that has these thoughts, has this hair, tattoos on his arms, and wears this shirt at the moment. And I don't, at that moment, comprehend that I'm more or beyond that. This oftentimes creates a very narrow point of view. Usually I don't understand that life is trying to teach me something, or that I'm even part of some process that's happening. Whilst on the other hand, we have the more macro-consciousness point of view. And in this case, we're looking at life from above, or you can say detached. It's the concept of detachment that's oftentimes discussed in many philosophies. Comes to explain not necessarily detachment from, what is happening in the world, but it's the detachment of my attachment to being this and only this. It is a part of me, don't get me wrong, it's not a part of me. But there's so much more that's also related to me that I need to start taking into consideration when I look at my life and think to myself, what is happening right now? And this is a continuation of the muscle we're training in the first key. Because at first we start taking attention into the body and start even understanding what is happening right now for real. For real means that instead of thinking what's happening here, thinking that my colleague or thinking that my boss is this and that, I start feeling what is even happening in my body out of this situation. And the next step is, once I'm engaged in this experience, is to remember that, okay, and now I can take a step back. And remember, why is this all happening in the first place? This is a lesson, correct? If I get stuck into these little experiences, I'll forget about the fact that I'm here to study. I'm here in this mechanism, in this Maya, to go through a process. None of this stuff happens by chance. It has a good reason to happen. And essentially, you can think of it as like a game. It's like a game that you're stepping inside the game, experiencing something, accumulating a lesson, and you step out and you incorporate it. Because you have the bigger picture, you can incorporate it into, okay, I got the lesson, back into another game, back into this slightly as if micro-consciousness, but not really anymore, because we're treating it a bit differently. And then back to the macro one. This is the idea of superposition. You're essentially going to be living in this here and there. And the better this muscle works, the more you're practically as if living in both at the same time. It makes no sense, to be honest, when you think about it. But it really is chose like that. It's just something you have to live and feel and realize that I am also this and I'm also this at the same time. At first, we start practicing it like this. So a good example, by the way, would be if you're approaching any kind of situation from microvision, for example, a boss that doesn't give me a raise. Classical. I expect it. I'm an Alex, I need more money. What do you mean? I approach him with a discussion for a raise and he says, no. Literally happened to me, by the way, so easy to bring an example. It's an example. And there was a discussion and this and that, and I'm like, oh, he doesn't get it. His management style is like, he keeps doing this to everybody. All these ideas about who he's like, what people are like, what I want from the situation. Stop. Wait a minute, Alex. What are you even doing here? Womp. You take that distance back. And when I took that distance back, I simply remember one simple thing. He personally does not want to give me a raise, actually. It's me who has some expectations of life that are not necessarily true. And as a result of looking at the situation from the side, I can first make that click, that first of all, this is a lesson that tries to remove these unnecessary expectations. And once this twist or click happens, you can return back into the situation and it will naturally start changing because you're connected to what's truly happening. You're using the first key that Anna just mentioned. You're feeling what's actually happening to you. You're feeling the person. And you learn the lesson.
Yeah, so basically when you begin to apply those two skills and be aware of those two laws of new time, you are able to act more adequate to the situation. And I would like to ask you to reflect in the moment right now whether you have some sort of life condition, maybe relationship with a particular person that at some point you were not agreeing with, or a situation that was happening over and over again, that at some point you were perceiving more superficially and more like, oh, why is this happening, being in disagreement with God, with life, and like, oh, I'm being punished and blah, 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 blah. And now you already have shifted your vision of it and you see it from a brighter perspective, and you actually see your progress in it. It's very important to reflect on your changes in that kind of perception too, because at such way you begin to grow faster. I'm actually giving you a super powerful key right now. It's very important for all people that are walking practically spiritual paths to constantly reflect and mark with your attention the changes that have happened to you. Okay, 2 years ago I would react to this situation like that. Now I actually notice that I have a split second before reaction, or I don't even want to interfere into fight. It doesn't feel natural anymore. Yeah, so any sort of changes like that, notice them please, and it will help you to progress faster. It's like you already have taken the stage when you're aware of it. When it's still unaware habit, then it's not your fully, because it's not conscious. And before we're gonna show you the next law, I would like to get you into context of how creation going through different stages, what stage we're at right now, and this will naturally lead us into the law of new time that is applicable to. So imagine our creation, the world that we are living in, initially being one perfect, unified soul, which is made of pure energy of God. And then this creation, already being super beautifully and advanced, because there is only one main thing that always happens, is evolution and growth, thought to itself, oh, how can I evolve even more? What if I break into small pieces and let each single piece of me learn the world separately to then reconnect back again and I will become even more advanced and aware of myself and this whole happening. So this is basically what happened to us. First we were united, we were one, and then through different cycles of human growth, we were separating more and more and more. And we can look back at the past and see how back then people used to be still closer to each other before further separation was happening. And they were closer to nature around. They even were able to communicate with sun, with nature, recognize whether it will be raining or not, talk to wind, make sure that the harvest is good, know all the conditions. Yeah, and also there was more communication from heart to heart and understanding of each other with no need to write books or like do some texting, or there was even telepathy still available. So the further each single piece, each single individual soul, already individual soul, was spreading apart with the spirit, gaining this experience, the more wall of egoism and selfishness and idea of self appeared for each piece. And this was taking into more of, oh, I have my own kingdom, my own world, in which I want to create perfect life and don't care about anyone else. And this was bringing humans into more desires, into desire to take more, and into a desire to, just build a happy castle outside of everyone else. Total consumerism. And right now, actually, as humanity, we came, as civilization, we came to the stage where the separation and consumerism hit its rock bottom, the maximum. It cannot be separated any further. This is the peak. And we can see that the resources that we have on our planet, ecologically, materially, they're actually enough for every single human to live good enough, to have enough of food, to have enough of clothes, to enjoy life. But because of this whole desire, I want a bigger piece, no, give me more, no, there are many poverty around us. There are many things that are very unfair and economically also like rich, poor, and so on, so on, so on. And we see that big corporations influence attention of people, forcing them to buy things that they don't need when it comes to clothes or new car or new iPhone or something else. Also, we see how pharmacies work, that they create treatments that actually don't heal the source of your problem, but just healing symptoms or covering them, so that you come back to buy more and more and more. And when we come to buy medicine, we look at, oh, let me pick less toxic one. But just think about it. Toxic medicine, it's not normal. If we come to healing, it's supposed to be fully healthy. So that's how the common world shows us that something wrong with the system, right? And people probably that are watching this course already begin to notice that something doesn't feel right, like there should be another way. And this is directly when your spirit begins to awaken and feel too narrow to live just through egoism and in consumerism approach, and begins to call to come back to the lifestyle as a soul in this unity. So this desire for unity and harmony with the world around awakens as a natural need. So if you want all that, people, that's probably why you consciously chose to study and to learn how to become a purer version of yourself at the first place, because we always begin with ourselves. And you will probably ask here a question, but how is that? I see many people around that still live very consumeristic life, and they seem to be lucky and everything works for them, and life doesn't punish them for that, yeah? Here we need to take in our mind that there is also cosmic age of our soul, and spirit that accumulates experience that already accumulated enough, and the soul is cosmically like very old, would have a bigger need and harsher conditions forcing to come back to unity. And there are some spirits that are less mature and they're still gaining some experience, but they're not worse or not better. They're just different age, so to say. So the first thing that we need to look at is, where is my place and what are my conditions? And this course is particularly about those more mature spirits. And the next law that is applicable coming out of this whole concept and story that I told you is the law, and you will see it on the next slide, beyond persona. Which means, since we are getting trained, our spirit is getting trained to choose to act like a soul, everything that will be triggered is our ego. And this ego will be shown to us more and more and more, the more dedicated we are to the spiritual path. And it's absolutely necessary to learn to connect with humans on the level of heart and look at the person, not like at the car, but at the driver of this car, which means the soul, the spirit that is driving that thing. And therefore, when I do so, when I actively search for that connection with the essence of the person, I awaken my essence more. I have to naturally plunge into it. I have no other choice. And the biggest exercise is happening is when we're facing some disagreement. When, for example, in the team, two people have their right opinion, and one person thinks that, no, my opinion is right. And he says, no, you don't understand anything. My opinion is right. And here's always the question, like, from my perspective, it would be more good for him to make the first step towards me. And he was like bullying me, like active aggressively. He has to apologize. And I'm right. Yes, I'm in the position of I'm right. But this is exactly the ego. Yeah, so here what needs to be clarified and understood, and really, really hard job to do, is that first thing, realization. If something is getting hooked on me, it means that something is poking out of me. So it's my swollen spot. It has nothing to do with the other person when it comes to pain that I'm experiencing. Therefore, it's only my responsibility to go and overstep this egoism, create connection with the space around me that is alive, which is speaking to me through this person, and find the connection beyond. So I'm like consciously, when I feel pain, go into superposition about this whole thing and build a bridge. Oh my God, this is such a hard job when it especially has to be done with people that are not on spiritual path. Yet I need to realize that I need it. Not anyone else need it. I'm getting trained in this creation. And I will tell you honestly that when you begin to surround yourself with people that also strive to grow spiritually and ready to do such job and want to do it consciously, it becomes much easier, because this process speeds up a lot. You also get step towards you, and yeah, it's just super important, the right environment. But if you're the only one in your environment that doing those steps forward, the fuel will end up quite fast.
Yeah, and there's something that's really good to add at this point. It's the fact that you will have some arguments where you're objectively correct. That's the best lesson you can ever get, by the way. When you're saying that something is black, it is black, and the other person is saying, no, it's white. You can ask 10 people around you, and they will all say, yes, you're correct. However, the two of you are currently in a disagreement that is beyond just intellectual disagreement, where you can just discuss a subject. No, you're both standing your ground. And the goal is to not come to necessarily an agreement on intellectual level at that moment, perhaps. The goal is to remember everything that Anna just said. My task is not to be correct, even though maybe I am. My task is to make that creation of mine, well, good. to say the least. Build that bridge with it. And once that bridge is built, once I feel that warmth towards the other person, once I can discharge the tension that's between us, any discussion following that, it's going to be much, much, much better. And essentially, the next point that we're going to be mentioning, the next law, is pretty much in the same direction as well. You'll notice that they all build up on each other. Can you show us the next slide? This term is oftentimes used in business as well, and it's synergy. Synergy is probably the most powerful reason why we're even doing this work together, aside from the bonus of having support, aside from the fact that you have people to share with, you help them, they help you. In all physical, emotional levels, support of other people is an extraordinarily helpful thing. But there's another layer to it. And it's the fact that at this point in time, our level of egoism is very high, to say the least. It is actually quite beyond, even beyond control in a sense. And it is so much higher than that of people who lived 1,000 years ago, and even significantly higher than those who lived even 100 years ago. We're very different people. And that doesn't make us bad. It just means that we're living under very different conditions. And in order to overcome this ego, to be able to work with it effectively and to actually be able to incorporate those lessons that it's teaching us, we require a lot of energetic potential. Not just to see a certain situation or like a certain egoic pattern, but to actually be able to detach from it or for it to even go away. That requires effort or energy. If we do this work on our own, it's very difficult, as we mentioned many times before. It will take a lot of time because you need to charge that energy up. You can do it through different practices, of course. You will be charging up and then you will be going through this process, but it's very slow. It's very, very slow. And as a result, it's extraordinarily unlikely to be able to succeed doing this kind of scale of work that's required in one lifetime. To fully liberate from all of that, all of those concepts, all of those things, all of the things that stop us from being truly happy in one lifetime, it's a very colossal undertaking in the modern world, especially for people who were born in the standard Western society. We are born into consumerism. What can you do? It is the way it is at the moment. But this is the role of synergy. In synergy, when we team up, when we create groups of people who are doing this inner work together, we strengthen each other. Let's use some numbers here just for expression-wise. Me and Anna here, for example, we're 2 people already, and when I do something by myself, I'm just like, doing it at the strength of myself, but together, it's already 7 times more effective. And another person, for example, our friend who's sitting behind the camera, he multiplies it once again to 49 times more. Now imagine what happens when you have a truly big group, a truly team of people working together. I'm not going to do the math. I'm not smart enough for that at the moment. But it's truly a huge difference in potential over what we can do alone. And in a way, having those people who are sometimes more mature than you, even not just the teacher, but even those who are with you on the path, but slightly more mature, you can learn from them. They can push you, you can push them. This synergy is just a key moment to all of those journeys. So surround yourself with those kind of people. Don't be the smartest person in the room, so to speak. That is never the good place to be in, because you always want to strive for something more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically, it's very important to surround yourself with people that look in one direction with you and share the same values. And that will help you to state your values and manifest them in the fastest way possible, without conditions pushing on you. Or if they push on you, you still will have enough of energy and charge and support to realize them in the best way possible. Yes. So the next principle, and we'll see it on the slide right now. Следующий slide. So basically, what's required from us in these times is to shift from human that is taking to a human that is giving. And that's purely about intention and about focus. Where is it? When I'm creating a business, for example, am I using those people to get more money? Or am I actually trying to create something that will serve people? And this is the law of service. It's been known and explained through different religions, through different traditions, in many different ways, in many different forms, according to the culture and time. But the essence of it is actually a natural state of our soul. And the more we begin to act like it, the more we begin to treat the world around us like our continuation and actually serve it, we more begin to feel that we are serving ourselves. And this unity, which the creation is coming back to, is happening more natural. And actually, people that has to be on way with time, that are very progressive, they picked it up, especially in the modern business world. And I personally know some companies that even put in mission, when they write the mission of the company, something that will serve the world. And we see many of them, actually, nowadays. But, for example, doTERRA, which is essential oils company, they do it as in supporting the natural fundament of Earth. And through their companies, they're creating working spaces for people that are taking care of local flora and fauna. So in such way, the whole big system of business machine that creates money and makes money, it actually has a point of where it gives back to the world, gives back to our planet, and supporting those people that are supporting the nature that we have. And people nowadays, consumers nowadays also, begin to sense it too and want to go to high vibrations. And we notice that mass market don't work as much anymore. There actually been research that now more customized products that have more special of attention, they are being bought most and being seek and wanted most. And this is again about how much attention and love and heart been put into some product that we create, and whether it's done from a position of service or just how can I go and do something in manufacturing, copy paste it and sell it for high price. Yes, of course, there is this still aspect of people making money, but it's already like a condition of modern time that it doesn't work just if you make it fully mechanical. You have to put some kind of good intention into it to make it work. And especially when, if you're a person, a businessman with already mature spirit, the requirements of the space will be especially high. And to understand this whole concept even more, we want to show you how maturity of spirit is manifested through the interaction with the world and different layers of responsibility, so to say.
So let's draw some drawings. As always, every good thing starts with a dot at the center. This is us. First thing is like our psychological well-being, our physical well-being, our financial situation, really everything that comes about taking care of me as a person, as Alex, really. Everything that Alex needs to survive comfortably and nicely. Now, I can direct all of my attention into dealing with my own problems. However, the more mature I am as a person, even literally older, just even in our world, even older, usually there's at least another circle around me. And that is the circle of my close friends, family, my kids, my spouse. These are the people whom my well-being is totally dependent on. Not necessarily maybe they don't do something for me, but if they're suffering, I cannot be happy. It's an immediate connection. And it doesn't take to be super advanced human to care about the people that are close to you. It's another natural point that you start helping or taking care of. You give them. You give to your children, you give to your spouse, you take care of your parents take care of you. It becomes a very natural thing. It's a very natural thing for us to actually give. You'll notice very soon.
And I will actually make a point here that if you look at people around, women at least, they feel like, "Oh, I will not be happy unless I will have a family, unless I will have someone to love and to take care of, or from whom I will feel love and be taken care of." So we are social beings. We cannot actually survive on our own, and we have that natural need to expand even in our blood and in our culture in all different countries.
Yep. But it doesn't actually stop here, now, does it? There are other people in the world. And we're going to start having our next little circle. We're going to call it the third-ish layer. The third layer of my circle is people who I'm in regular contact with, but my immediate happiness doesn't necessarily depend on theirs. I mean, I have a colleague, he's a good guy, he's having a rough time. I might not be super pleased about that, I might not dislike him, but by the end of the day I have my own problems, you know? That's usually how the discussion goes. And our goal is to realize that, first of all, well, let's face it, all of these layers are actually a part of my life. This is all my life. And we direct our attention further than our immediate circle. Why? I'll even try to draw it a little bit here. We start directing our attention to this outer layer of people who I'm less interacting with, or people who are not... My ego does not have much of an interest in their well-being as much as the close people. That's the biggest difference, really. Once I do that, once I start serving or transmitting this care and love or help in any way I can, really, to those slightly further people, I, the real me, by the way, the spirit, the sun that's the source of all of this energy, has to shine brighter. In order to reach these people who are out on the outskirts of my life, I need to be a very bright sun. And if I start becoming a bright sun, those who are closer to me start experiencing much more of this light that is actually the source of our happiness, our health. We actually have the energy to change a certain aspect of our lives. We actually have the energy to launch that business. We actually have that energy to do those things that beforehand we thought the problem was time. But time is rarely the problem. It's usually the fact that we can't bring it to life, for a better word. This is probably the best explanation for it. And then we realize that it's not like I'm forgetting about Alex and I don't go showering or don't eat anymore. This is not an ascetic version of it. I don't run away from my family to serve some other people. It's one process. That's what's most important about it. I direct my attention into this world, and they're also part of my layers. However, I now have so much more energy that I don't need to dedicate all of my day going to the gym, eating right, all of this stuff. I don't need that much time to take care of me. And that is beautiful. And we will be in today's practice, practicing a little element that will help us work with this aspect on how to have better relationships and serve the world around us.
Yes, and before you're going to do so, I actually want to add something on your drawing and take it even further. Can I?
Sure.
Okay. So all this concept that you just saw, it's actually a practical approach. Yes? But where is it, how is it working with our end goal? Yeah? How is it helping to enlighten or awaken or so on? The thing is that we are conductors ourselves. We are not like a bottle that is closed. And the more we begin to transmit light and this life energy through our character, by being active in the world, by having focus further, the more light begins to come through us, and it purifies all the hooks of ego and that sort of stuff that is actually restricting us and restraining us from seeing the reality the way it actually is. And what happens is the process of enlightenment. light is coming through me. And when Alex said about these further circles, yeah, we are talking about these ones. At some point they end. Yeah, it's not just people, it's even the focus, like let's say on my room, on my city, or on the whole planet. How global is my vision is. The whole universe at the end of the day. The thing is, when we begin to take bigger responsibility, at some point the qualities of Anna as a character begins to be not enough. And automatically attention has to shift into different dimension. So this energy begins to circulate more and the attention goes deeper home. Or attention immerses into connecting more with God, into unified field, at this level of consciousness where we are already one. So this is when it happens, not just conceptually understanding it, yeah, but we actually begin to experience this goal, ultimate goal. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you this whole principle from the level of dimensions. And after certain circle and responsibility for that circle as an intention and directing your actions for it and living your everyday to make a better difference in the world, then at some point, if it's sincerely lived through and there is this enough of aspiration, your whole being begins to change and become more of its pure prime form, which is the soul. And this is what we do as per Dante project, actually. So we already mentioned that we create perfect conditions for one individual who wants to grow to get into the space and progress smoothest and the most efficient way possible. So basically, from the other point of view, Pradanta project is like this city where eventually it will become a city in which there will be people that are living at higher state of consciousness and transmitting this light on maximum and changing the whole sphere of the planet and helping the collective consciousness to raise even higher. Because when there is enough of critical number of humans that already entered certain level of consciousness, there is like a snowball effect of those that were not supposed to become super mature or gain that much experience in this life. They automatically mature up in harmonious way without us having to experience some bad cataclysms or war conflicts or economical crises or many deaths or some all pandemic stuff, because we consciously begin to provoke and speed up the whole global consciousness evolution through our changes and through creating this very concentrated place of people connecting together with this focus of transmitting the light for the whole planet. So long-term perspective is that. And for anyone who feels like this goal is resonating, because actually it's the highest material goal that could be imagined, and people at different times try to dream about that, about building a certain happy commune, or that's where communism came from originally, actually, before it turned not into so good working system, as how we tried it, yeah. Also, some other attempts to build certain cities of light or settlements. That idea, and when people were attached to such projects and were building it, they were living the best times of their life. That's when you will see their eyes glowing and them feeling like I'm doing something really meaningful, something really purposeful. This is giving so much power. So being a part of such process is really giving such a huge strength, like a vital force, that is easily applicable to the nearest spheres of life, also like career, family, health, so on. But it's because I look like, in gymnastics, you walk on a, a bar?
I guess.
Yeah, so you walk on a bar doing tricks, but you will fall down if you look right underneath your legs. If you look, you have to look at the end of this bar, as in to the higher goal, to be able to complete all these necessary steps that are needed. So here's pretty much the same kind of thing, but to focus on that higher goal is really hard because there are many bad examples when it didn't work out. So already in past experience, it's like, oh, maybe it's not possible, blah, 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 blah. But what's really inspirational and what's really cool is that as a team, we're already doing it practically. There is already 2 retreat centers, and in which in total there are 120 people living already at the base of these retreat centers, passing the knowledge and expanding this project, building that city, but not just outer buildings, which is never enough to build just buildings. What's the most important is to have the right people living in that kind of place. And then the environment will be truly of a higher state. And this is where methodology that you're trying here at this course is coming along. Methodology that allows to consciously purify all the fears, all the complexes, all the tensions, all the bad stuff, past traumas and negative experience, and interact with the world with open heart. It's a very healthy environment in which it's not scary to let your kids go at night outside, and because you know that no one will harm them at the street, because it's a safe place where you're not scared to not lock your doors, to leave money on the table easily. You know no one will steal anything. So it's kind of the healthy and normal idea that we internally all strive and understand that, yes, I would definitely love to live in such place, or would love to build something like that for my future generation. Yeah, but because no one showed an example that it's possible, it seems like it's not possible. But it is possible, and it's already happening, and it's so beautiful to see how. Actually, we have kids here also, of some of our students, and how they grow having this different example of adults. And because they read the model of interaction, you can tell them any different words, but they look at how you act and how you feel towards each other. So they already reading this healthy model, and it's so great, it's so wonderful. So anyone that like to be somehow input into this project, you can do it in many different ways. You can help by just spreading the word about this, or you can actually study yourself to become this transmitter of this light, or you can somehow support it materially. So any kind of input already making you sort of closer to this field and giving you the energy, as in you're looking at the end goal as doing something good for the world. So anyone that feels like, you're welcome. Currently we are developing this, what is called Paradanta project, and you'll find more information about it later on below.
And before we continue to the practice, I would actually like to take a look at the questions we had. Both seem to be on the same approach. One is the difference between awakening and enlightenment, whilst the other one is the question of what's the place of acceptance on this path, especially since we keep talking about striving to higher levels of consciousness and things of the sort. Quite simple, actually. First of all, awakening and enlightenment. Enlightenment is essentially described in the way we like to describe it is, I have fully incorporated all the lessons that my spirit needs in order to no longer be forcibly taught those lessons. Essentially, I am no longer forced without my decision to return to the cycle of samsara or anything of the sort. I am free. This is full freedom, full remembrance of who you are, the whole shebang, so to speak.
And full access to different dimensions and ability to stay in physical body or not to stay in the physical body, to take information from any spot of the space of any time and any dimension. It's something that's already beyond words, and when we try to put it into words, sounds like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but since there's not much to say about it, because again, it's pointless, this is good enough at the moment of a thing we can say. Awakening is really just kind of a point on this journey where you start not being attached so much to your mind and body, but you start you're genuinely experiencing the fact that I am much more. And you can look at it as a point of awakening, what sometimes is denounced like as a point zero on the spiritual journey, but you can also think of it as the process of awakening. I am awakening to my true nature. Remembering, because it's oftentimes described as we're sleeping because we're not aware of our true nature, and we're awakening to our true nature. In short, this should be a pretty simple and good explanation for now, but the place of acceptance is actually very good, because rather than say that acceptance is something that enlightenment is accepting where you are, because first of all, you're everything that's here. What's there not to accept? I would even look at it the other way around. Before you can start even doing anything of value on this world or on the journey, you first have to accept how things are at the moment. Because if you're not accepting what's happening, you're fighting with it. You're not doing anything, well, it's strange. Especially once you go into a superposition point of view and you start realizing, this is just a game that's teaching me how to be happier. What on earth am I fighting? What on earth am I even... How can I even not accept anything here? Well, we don't accept things because of the things we mentioned, the lovely ego patterns and the like. But acceptance is more like a first step, really. Loving everything that's happening, that's much more interesting.
Yeah, I feel like people often in spiritual concepts get confused about what acceptance is, and exchange it in the head with the passivity or submissiveness. So if I accept something, it doesn't mean I won't improve it or I won't change it. Because life will be happening to us all the time. And the process of enlightenment is actually the process of us becoming active, conscious creator and interactor with our creation. And there is no way to enlighten just to sit in meditation and accept the world the way it is. No, meditation is actually connecting with the body, with the presence. And this is basic acceptance. But then the next step is go and take this acceptance in action, where you are able from the present moment, without not hating what's happening, make your best out of it, beginning more and more realize this power of creator. And then the light is requested from the source, and it begins to go through you. But if you stay passive, you will never request that enough of light, of this vital energy circulating through you. And that's how it works. So when we begin to consciously take the wheel of our perception expansion or evolution into our hands, this is what's required, because we begin to become creator. But it doesn't mean we do not accept. We actually understood the law of the game that we are in, and we begin to play in accordance with that game. And this is total acceptance.
The perfect way of looking at it is, rather than think that things the way they are right now are perfect, so they don't need to be changed, the more correct way of saying it's perfect for my evolution at every single second of its existence. And from that point of view, you can say, yes, reality truly is perfect. It is always perfect at every second to help me grow in the fastest, most comfortable, beautiful possible way. I think we got that point across, I hope.
Yes.
But that was a good question.
Yeah, let's go to the practice.
Yeah. So I hope you guys remember our 3 golden rules. I'll say them once again, just in short. If you want to, you can look back at the previous lesson. But the first one is to observe. Observe everything we'll be doing during the practice. Well, that's really what we're doing, practicing this observer. So if we're not doing it, well, I guess we're doing something else. Second of all is to trust. During this practice, we will be launching some natural processes in our body. Our inner energy is start awakening, and it will start harmonizing us in the best possible way it can. And we simply need to trust it. Maybe some sensations will happen. We just say yes to whatever is happening. And lastly, let's try to put all of our previous experience aside, especially from the last session. Anything really that we ever practiced. Well, as we mentioned, the present moment is perfect. It's always going to be different. And today's practice is naturally going to be different to any other time, even though we technically can be doing the same thing, because we changed. And let's remember to sit on a comfortable chair, or maybe on a cushion on the floor, preferably with a hard surface, and keep our back straight. We can even help ourselves by rocking a little bit back and forth. Find a comfortable position when we feel as if the spine is holding itself. And let's find that correct position. Let's close our eyes. And direct all of our attention to the sensations in our body. We don't evaluate. We don't judge. We don't control. We simply observe the sensations that are happening, or emotions in our body, and say yes to everything. Stillness. And now let's observe how we become internally quieter. Your mind might notice how your thoughts might calm down. The breathing can slow down. And how all processes in the body are slowing down. And we simply observe without interfering, how we become internally quieter. And let's listen to me a little bit more. We all have that experience of taking care of somebody we really love. It might be a parent, a child, husband, wife, a friend, or maybe even a pet. And let's remember now that feeling we get when we deeply care about them, when we try our best for them and take care of them. Let's take a few moments to remember that feeling. And let's share that feeling with the space around us. Share our very best, our heart warmth. stillness. In stillness, our attention is directed to the sensations in the body. And let's slowly begin coming back to ourselves. And before we open our eyes, let's smile. A big, beautiful smile. For no reason at all. Just like in childhood. And once we have that smile, we can slowly and carefully open our eyes.
And take a moment to realize what has changed. Maybe the way you experience your physical being has changed, or the way the outer space feels, looks, perceives, getting perceived. And this is exactly the state that we then learn to take into action. And basically, as to make a whole conclusion of our 5 laws of new time that we try to share with you today, and practical approaches to accomplish them and live in accordance with them, come to this one thing of that we learn to act from peace, stillness, and open heart. And this is actually, again, like a muscle to be built up. And for those that want to actually learn to be in this state permanently, make it more deep, more permanent, more like stable, be able even to share this state with others. When they come into your space, you are able to immerse them to a new depth of perception. Make them happier for a moment, or maybe for longer than a moment. So, of course, for that, there is already practical stages of proper education, required regular training, curator, support, feedback. It's really good that you already have taken your time and effort to go through this course, to do the practices. It's already huge input into yourself, into your state, and therefore into those people that you're going to be interacting from this state. And if you want to take it further, the more advanced course that we offer is the transformational online course, Flow, that is going for 3 weeks. It has 3 practical sessions in Zoom per week, where we are already going through the class together live. You are getting live feedback. And there are certain conditions created that allow you to progress really, really fast. So for those that look at this direction seriously, I really recommend this course. You can find on all the links below. And for those that really like a live experience, the flow course is a super fantastic preparation for retreat, because if you go through the flow course, when you get to the retreat, you're already prepared and you can go into more depth. Yet, for some people, like, no, I'm just gonna go to live straight away. And that's another approach. Also, we conduct our retreats globally, and we've been doing actually like certain sequence of retreats in Asia, and the upcoming one will be in India. So if it's still available, for those that are watching us in recording, you can find the links below. Retreat is something where big life change happens. Yeah, for every single participant. There is no way you can attend a retreat and come back the same you were before, or come back not happy. Every single participant come out of retreat with more pure perception, more mature vision of life, and feeling of that hundreds of kilograms of all the weight came off your shoulders. So yeah, everyone who feels like liking the energy, the methodology, the principles that we shared from our experience is everything that we do ourselves all the time, daily, practically, and we do it and build this to be able to share it. So basically, at the end of this all, we want to thank you very much for being here with us, and yeah, for working on being that light, ray of light, which we need more and more in the whole global situation right now.
So we can't wait to see you on any of our events. That'll be the best. If you're interested in having a more personal contact beforehand, feel free to sign up for our consultation. We might not have time to reach everybody. We're not that many people, but we'll do our best to contact everyone we can. And I'll be very happy to see more.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you at our next courses.